Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve. I am always happy to do these events and these engagements, but it's always nice when I am having a conversation with someone I know and it can just it's so much easier and it flows really well. And tonight I'm really excited to have our guest speaker tonight, someone I know, respect, and I'm so happy to see Gabriel and see like you're doing exactly what you want to do. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sally Traore Ualaka. I am the founder of Resi Prep 360. This is a program with a huge focus on bridging the gap between the information that exists out there about postgraduate training and helping prospective candidates turn that into actionable items for themselves. I help you secure a residency and I help you navigate the postgraduate world altogether. And the postgraduate training series is just one more of those things that I'm really passionate about and helping bring you individuals that are in positions that I hope you aspire to have. And so that you know that they are people and you can completely reach out to them. And tonight's guest speaker is so sweet. He's super nice. And I'm just so excited. Welcome, Dr. Gabriel Joseph. Hi, Gabriel.
Thank you, thank you. Still sounds weird, getting called doctor. Still getting used to it, but I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
It's earned. It was completely earned. And I was there to witness you earn it. So I'm not even, I don't even get to let you just act like, oh, it happened. I was there to watch you earn it. And I'm so proud of you and so proud of like all of what you are doing. I can't wait to see all of what you're going to do next. But I'm not going to continue geeking out about how proud I am of you. Can for everybody who's just watching that has no idea who you are, can we please just start with a brief introduction about who you are, please?
Yeah, of course. My name is Gabriel Joseph. I attended Towson University for undergrad. Got a degree in biochemistry. Attended University of Maryland Eastern Shore for pharmacy school, where I met Sally, who was one of my professors. Hawk Pride, and now
I
I'm
cried.
and now I'm a Howard University fellow with Amgen, working in global regulatory affairs.
Very good. I'm so glad that you could join us tonight. And so I always like to start with giving the people that are watching an idea. Did you always know that? So, what was the process like for you? Did you know you were going to do a postgraduate training, but you didn't know if it would be fellowship or residency? Or was the fellowship route just you knew, like the moment it became clear that you'd pursue postgraduate, you knew that it was going to be the fellowship route? What was that like?
For me, I was pretty set in stone when I started pharmacy school. I would say within like the first 6 months that I knew I wanted to work within the industry. I just didn't know
Yeah.
how I was going to do it. I didn't know if I was going to
Yeah.
go about getting a fellowship or, applying for a job right away.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had some mentors at UMES, and they went the fellowship route, and they kind of encouraged me to pursue the same thing. So,
Very good. So it was pretty clear for you, and
mm.
you're touched on mentors already, and I love that. I love that, and particularly talk about that component of like how helpful was it to get mentorship from people that were right from your program? Like how instrumental was that in helping you navigate the entire process?
Oh man, I feel like I can't even describe the importance of it
Yeah.
honestly. From UMES is a 3-year program, so within my first year, I knew I wanted to do industry, but like I said, I didn't really know how I was going to go about it. So I feel
Yeah.
like my first step was joining IPHO, and that's
Mhm.
kind of how I found my mentor. I started going to IPHO meetings, just
Yeah.
learning a little bit more about industry, and then, towards the end of the year, they were holding elections, and I was like, okay, well, let me try to get on the board so I can
Yeah.
continue to learn more and be involved with it. Pretty much, I ended up running for president, and I became president elect. And the
Yeah.
previous president ahead of me, his name is actually Andrew. I'm sure a lot of people have met him or
Yeah.
talked to him.
Yeah.
He ended up being like a direct mentor and friend to me. So, from that first year to up until now, if I call Ashley now and have any questions for him or just just to catch up, I'm sure he's still gonna give me that feedback or anything I need. So, yeah, even
Agree.
during all the years through all the years, questions on exams or
Yeah.
how to revamp my CV or how to
Yeah.
prep for interviews, he was always there for me along the way. So,
That's amazing. And I know Ashley, so I know the caliber of mentorship that you are describing. And he's always just made sure to make himself available. And I think that's so, so, so important coming from a small program, a young program, that we do build that community among ourselves to help. And I think
yeah.
people underestimate the power of that, because like having somebody that was just there, um the advice, it's so fresh off the press, because it was they just did it.
Mhm.
So I'm so happy that like you were able to leverage and have a relationship like that. So talking like, and I guess like in putting into perspective what this journey was like for you, can you share a little bit with us, keeping in mind, think about the P1 student, I think, who doesn't know, right? Like you were sure. You're like, yeah, it's going to be pharmaceutical industry. I don't know how yet, but that's how we're going. But if you
Mhm.
have anything that you may be able to share with the P1 student, what are some things that you think would be great for them to start preparing themselves for what this journey is going to take for them to get to where you are now?
I feel like the biggest thing for fellowships or residencies is networking and information. Like,
Yeah.
just get involved. I feel like our school is very small, but
Yeah.
for everybody, our school in particular is very small. We have small classes,
Yeah.
so a lot of people don't. It's an accelerated program as well. So a lot of people just want to focus strictly on the academic proponent. They don't
Yeah.
want to do the extracurriculars and the
Mhm.
orgs and things like that. But I think it's instrumental.
Yeah.
You meet so many different people. You don't know how they're going to be able to impact your life or just
Yeah.
even be a mentor or come back and maybe I've met people that have now interviewed me later on. Just things like
Yeah.
that. Like I met somebody casually and they've interviewed me later on, or somebody can you could just meet somebody casually and they be your mentor. So things
Yeah.
like that. I feel like people really undermine the importance of networking, especially as a
Mhm.
P1. Yeah, I feel like as a P1, you're just kind of coming in and just focus on I'm trying to pass these classes. So
Pass these classes, pass these exams. And when you're, like I go back to school, I talk to them often, and you're describing what's going to happen P3 year in their minds. It's this thing
mhm.
that's so far away, right? Like it's like that's like so far down the line, and it's so hard to explain to them like you're going to blink and it's time to decide what appies you need to pick. And it's like it happens so quickly. So I
Mhm.
love that piece of advice about just engaging and encouraging them to start. It doesn't matter how small or how big it is, but you want to start and get engaged in networking. On the topic of networking, right? Because even you, like you're in that situation, you're in that position now where I'm sure a lot of prospective candidates are reaching out to you. What is some advice that you have about people who are maybe a little scared about how to initiate contact in general, as a person who had to do it not that long ago? I'm sure you cold turkey inboxed people on a few occasions. But what is some advice that you have about what this is going to take and how to kind of overcome this hesitation and fear that they have about reaching out to people that they're like, I don't know them?
Um, I will preface this by saying that I was not a big cold turkey inboxer myself this time last year.
No
Honestly,
way.
yeah. I kind of had like a point of contact. I would have a mentor and he would refer me to one person and that person would refer me to another person. I kind of just kept that cycle
Yeah.
going and going and going. So that was how I met a
Uh,
lot of different people and networked with a lot of different people. There were
that
instances where I have some family that works within the pharmaceutical industry as well. And when I kind
Gotcha.
of told them I was pursuing a fellowship or a position in the industry, they
Yeah.
referred me to, message some people cold turkey. It was
Yeah.
a bit intimidating for me because I feel like there are more senior leveled,
Yeah.
people that are not exactly relatable. But the
Mm,
best advice I can give somebody that is in their final year of pharmacy school trying to reach out to a fellow is that we were just in your position. I
yeah.
don't feel, I graduated, but like I don't feel so far off. Like I know what it's like to, be frantically revamping my CV and, calling my friends to double check my work. I
Yeah.
was just there. Like
Yeah.
it's vivid in my mind. So I feel like a lot of fellows are still relatively down to earth.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are willing to help. I feel like I have an open door policy. Anytime a student reaches out to me, I try my best to respond to every single person. So I feel like most people are of the same mindset, honestly.
Absolutely. And that's something like you touched on something and it was like Zoom, you went right past it that I think is super important about networking. It isn't always that you have to build the network. And I think I tell students that too. Like sometimes people who reach out to me about industry related stuff, I'm like, okay, I receive it. However, let me put you in touch with people that are better postured to help
Mhm.
you with what you need than I am. And I'm happy to activate my network on your behalf. And the the thing is you have no idea who's willing to go how far for you if you don't ask, right?
Yeah,
So like you were saying how it was always like a relationship that plugged you into their network and stuff like that. I think that is just as powerful if not more powerful. So you don't know, like asking continues to be like the best thing that you can do. You are in a fellowship with Amgen in combination with Howard University, correct?
correct, correct.
Can you describe the structure of your program a little bit for anyone out there who could potentially be interested in exploring it?
Yeah, of course. So there's a Howard proponent and there's a industry Amgen proponent. I feel like
Yeah.
everybody in the Howard Fellowship program, their fellowship is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a different contract.
Gotcha.
Mine's in particular is 100% with Amgen. I did have an academic proponent where I was supposed to take some classes, but it was ended up being optional. So I actually have a lot of access. That's one of the big things for me. I kind of wanted to be a professor one day, so I wanted to tap into the academic proponent of the fellowship.
Oh, I,
Yeah,
I'm not surprised by that though. That I see you doing that.
I get one day,
One
maybe
day,
down the line, down the
eventually,
line. Yeah, eventually,
eventually.
eventually. So I would say for Howard, there's a lot of resources. I'm in reg affairs, so there's a lot of legal courses that are provided to us. There's a lot of books that are made available to us.
That's
So
amazing.
I do enjoy that. There's a lot of committees as well on the Howard side, and
Okay.
this is something that's relatively new. So there's a professional development committee, intake committee for the application applicants, and reviewing things
Gotcha.
like that. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved on the Howard side.
Mhm.
As well as commitments that I have on the Howard side too. There's some certifications that I have to complete each
Yeah.
year, and it's like a list of things that I need to do. But like I said, it just kind of depends on a case by case situation, depending on your contract and which fellowship you get. Everybody's is different.
Yeah.
For the Amgen side, I'll say I started in July. It's been nice. There's
Mhm.
been like at least 1 full month of kind of just onboarding and training.
Mhm.
After that, I kind of got assigned to various different products that I work on. So it's kind of ongoing. I had somebody recently ask me like, "What's my day to day life or day to
Yeah.
day work structure look like?" And they
Yeah.
kind of thought I got a new project each week. Like it's not really like that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of
really?
been yeah, I've been assigned to like I said, 2 or 3 major products, and I work on them over time. And yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. A new project every week. You would not be here talking to me. Like, what? If I if you even hinted that you had that type of workload, I would be like, "Hey, I wish you all the best. Let me know how I can help, but It's okay. You have too much going on. That's a lot. And so, with respect to your day to day or just your fellowship structure, what do you think for you has been the most challenging adjustment with your transition from being a student to now being a new practitioner? I think that's what you guys are called too, even in industry.
I feel like that's a great question. I feel like the biggest thing is just acclimating to all the changes. Since
Mhm.
graduating, I feel like I've been in a constant state of adjustment
Yeah.
from graduating and embracing that I actually became a doctor to,
Yeah.
taking on the Howard responsibilities portion of my fellowship, to taking on the industry, responsibilities portion of my fellowship.
Yeah.
And then it's just like now I'm in a whole new workplace environment. I don't really think that pharmacy school really prepares most people for an industry job. So it's
Mhm.
like I'm getting the work and I'm learning how to do the work at the same time. So it,
Yeah.
it does take a bit of humility because that was one of the biggest things for me during my application cycle that I would ask the
Yeah.
interviewers. I was like, okay, I want to get a fellowship and I want to be able to hit the ground running and make a great impression on people. But
Yeah.
they kind of slowed me down. It's like, Gabriel, that's great that you have that type of ambition, but a lot of times it's not like that. It's like, there's a learning curve to it. So
Yeah.
I have to give myself some grace,
Yes.
and I think you give yourself some grace and you be intentional with how you carry yourself on a day-to-day basis. So
Absolutely. I love the maturity in that and being kind to yourself, and it's new. It's new
yeah,
for God's sakes. Like you
yeah,
just you just graduated and this is a different situation. Like you want to believe that you have all the tools you have, but there is a learning curve, and I love that you're recognizing and actually like taking the time and giving yourself, like you said, the grace to really learn so that you can take off. Good for you. I'm so proud of you. I just am like it's the first time we're talking since graduation, so of course
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking you some questions too, to just see where you are and how you're doing. So many people right now are interviewing, and it's such a stressful time for a lot of people.
Mm.
What's some advice that you have, being that you're a person again fresh off the trail? What's some interview advice that you have for the folks that are going through this right now about how they can help, how they can maximize their success throughout this process?
I think there's like two big things that I would say. One is to like always be yourself. I
Yeah.
feel like it's very easy to put up a facade of who you are during the
Mhm.
interview cycle. And it's like, what if you do get the position and you're going to be happy, but everybody expects you to be one way, but you're really another way. You're going to have to kind of keep up that facade forever. So that was a big proponent for me that I would always emphasize during my interviews that I want to
Yeah.
come into a place where I feel comfortable, where I can ask questions,
Mhm.
be true to myself and not feel um, obscure in any type of way. So that's a big thing I would stress to everybody. Being
Yeah.
yourself is the best way. I mean, you want to be the most polished and prepared version of yourself, but still be true. You still want to be true to yourself, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
uh,
Don't be the sloppy version of yourself. It's like that's
Uh, another
awesome.
thing, another thing I would say is that as much as an interview is about preparation, I think it's also about personality and confidence.
Yeah.
And I understand it's not really easy to be confident in yourself or feel comfortable when you're talking to a stranger, and they're kind of critiquing every single thing you say or do, or your mannerisms or your tone and things like that. But
Mhm.
you have to put your best foot forward. Because I feel
Yeah.
like half of it is just like you can get advanced from your first round interview to a second round interview just because you come into the interview with a smile and you're a bit energetic and you come with the
Mhm.
right energy. Literally,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So it could, I think it's two proponents to it, like preparedness and how you
Mhm.
show up. So yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like as a person who works with people and works with people, and whether they're working on fellowship or residency, authenticity it's a superpower, and I think people don't understand that. They sometimes are worried about how they will be perceived.
Mhm.
Everybody respects a person who embraces and shows up in their truest and most authentic form. It really does make you attractive. And I think a lot of people just underestimate the power of authenticity and how that could, like you're saying, like it could just be that you showed up and you brought the energy that day when every other person that day has just been super dreadful. And now you're the person whose energy they're going to remember, and it's like, yes,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to push you forward. And preparing, so mock interviews, I tell people that all the time. Anybody who is willing to practice with you, practice with them. It's just learning how to articulate yourself on cue. It takes
Mhm.
practice. These are,
Yeah.
if you're
It definitely
watching,
takes practice.
it definitely takes practice
It
because,
takes
like,
practice. It takes practice.
you're asked to describe situations or things about yourself, and but you're doing it on cue, and there are all these
Yeah.
things that you're like, I want to tell them this story, but it's going to take like 5 minutes. I don't need to talk for 5 minutes. I need to learn to convey and articulate all this in under 2 minutes. It just takes practice. So if there's somebody who's willing to listen to you practice, just say yes and practice it. And so I love all of this advice, but I wanted to ask you something. I always ask everyone this. What is something that you now know about the candidate you were that you would have done differently? Did you find something
Oh
you
man,
think
that's a good one.
as did you
I
find
gotta think about that.
anything that you think you would have like tweaked or done slightly differently as the candidate that you showed up in through the process?
Oh man,
Or you
I
were
would
just
say,
such a phenomenal candidate. It's
nah,
like
I was not a phenomenal candidate. I mean,
look at
I feel like I
me.
got better over time. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel like for me, something that you touched on that I didn't really do much was mock interviews. I feel
Mhm.
like as I interviewed, I
Yeah.
got better. I did a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities because I didn't do mock interviews. So that's one thing I would change. My first
Yeah.
interview was most definitely my worst interview. And my second interview was a little bit better. And my third interview was a little bit better. But it's like over time, I feel like, you know, maybe my sixth or seventh interview, I'm feeling a little bit confident. I kind of
Yeah.
know what questions to expect,
Yeah.
you know, what stories I'm going to pull from, how to
Yeah.
articulate myself a little bit better and think on the fly a little bit better. So, yeah.
Yeah. But first of all, everyone thinks the first interview is the worst. Like that's not a you thing. Like I remember leaving my first residency interview and sitting in the Uber and crying. And I think I freaked the Uber driver out a little bit because he thought something like they told me some bad news at the hospital. And I was like, no, nothing. It's just that I don't think that went well at all. And I think, mock interviewing, like when you're mock interviewing with people that can help you prepare, they put you under similar pressures. So when the
Mhm.
real deal is happening, you're still nervous, but it's not the same. You're like, okay, I kind of ran through this already in some fashion, and you can
Mhm.
still kind of keep your composure and deliver. So I'm glad that like that's something you change. Um, what is one piece of advice you have? I want to wrap this up on a take with you wisdom, like wisdom from your journey, Gabriel, your very successful journey. What is one wisdom you have for the
Uh,
person interviewing right now?
for the people interviewing right now, I would just say stay determined. You know,
Yeah,
it's not an easy process for applying for residencies or fellowships.
yeah,
Me personally, I got a lot of no's before I got a yes. So,
yeah,
you know, if I felt defeated in, you know, in the no's, I don't think I would be here right now. And, you know, I have a close friend of mine and a colleague, and we are kind of doing the fellowship. application process at the same time. We're like piggybacking off each other, sharing
Yeah.
ideas. She'll send me her CV, I'll send her mine, and things like that.
Yeah.
And as we're going through it, I'm getting updates about how our interviews are going and things like that. And she kind of brought it up to me that she felt very defeated after so many no's, that she didn't feel like she wanted to apply and do it anymore. She kind of wanted to change,
Of
her
course.
career path. And I just kind of told her,
Yeah.
I'm like, if
No.
you're more qualified than me, so it's like I think we both
Oh.
can still do it. So like, just keep
Yeah.
applying. I feel like if you keep applying, you keep putting your best foot forward, something's gonna stick. So
Yeah. And I really hope like you heard I really hope like if you're a person who's interviewing right now or you're a person who's about to start the residency journey, like you really heard what Gabriel just said. This takes resilience, tenacity, courage, faith. It takes it, and I think that a lot of people are surprised by the emotional stamina it requires. I think everybody is prepared for, I need to work on my CV and interview, and I need to maybe have to travel for final round and on-site. Like I think people prepare themselves for the technicalities, but they don't
mhm.
prepare themselves for the wait. Each time your email, like your phone bings that there's an email, and then you're like, I wonder what the email says, if I'm advancing or if it's a no. Like it takes an emotional toll on you, and a lot of people aren't mentally prepared for that part. So when he's talking to you about working on your resilience and taking the nose in stride, I really hope you hear that, because this is a game that only people who stick it out win. But if you are a person who just quits when the going gets tough, like you're just not going to get where you're trying to go. And I really, really hope like you heard that and you stick with it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. I just can't wait for you to like share with us all the great things you're going to do. I'm certain of it. Um, and I know you're going to be like another great person that other UMES students, I'm going to push your way, because that's what I do. That's what I do.
I hope so. I always want to help out my UMES people. So
Yeah, I always tell them like, if you're interested in this functional area, there's a great person like I want to put you in touch with. So I'm just really happy that you're doing the series, and I'm so proud of you and wish you the best of luck. If you're watching us live, thank you so much for tuning in. And we do have a comment. Someone said, thank you so much for this information. I'm learning to keep my hopes alive while waiting and learning to embrace the waiting and disappointment at the same time. Thank you so much, Dr. Patience, for putting that comment in there. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Gabriel, for joining us. I'll talk to you
thank
really
you. I
soon.
appreciate it.
Of
Mhm.
course. Bye bye.